What happens when a CEO books a seat on his own airline and sees something he never thought he'd allow? August O'Connell sat alone in his office, staring at the email from a frequent flyer. It wasn't a complaint, not exactly, more of a plea. Your airline used to feel human. Now, it feels like people are just in the way. That line hit him harder than he expected. His father had built the company from one small airport route to 18 major locations across the country. August inherited it 5 years ago. He'd expanded, modernized, streamlined. But now something felt off. Complaints were up. Staff turnover was rising. And his senior team kept brushing it off. "It's handled, August," his COO had told him last week. "Just noisy passengers. Nothing big."
He didn't buy it.
So, he booked a standard economy ticket on one of the busiest cross-country routes, Chicago to San Diego. He chose one of the older aircrafts that still had a crew he'd never met. He made sure they wouldn't recognize him. He'd grown out his beard, dyed it darker, added glasses, and a slight Midwestern drawl he'd picked up from his college days in Iowa. He wore cargo pants, a plain windbreaker, and carried a beat-up duffel bag. No one would guess he was the owner. The idea was simple: blend in, observe, and see what his people were experiencing firsthand. He arrived at the airport early, passed security, and waited at gate E12 like any other passenger. The terminal was packed, loud, and mildly chaotic. He kept his head down and watched. The gate crew looked tired, but professional. No red flags yet. Boarding was called, and August shuffled into line. A young woman in her 20s stood in front of him, clutching her boarding pass with shaking hands. She looked nervous, eyes darting, breathing shallow. She stepped forward, hesitated, then stepped back again. "Ma'am, we need to keep the line moving," the flight attendant at the boarding door said sharply.
I'm sorry.
Does this go straight to San Diego?" "Non-stop?" the woman asked, voice trembling. The attendant, a tall man with slicked-back hair and an empty smile, rolled his eyes and leaned into the co-attendant beside him. "Oh boy, we got a flyer who thinks she's in a therapy session," he muttered, not quietly enough. August's stomach twisted. The woman froze, visibly humiliated. "Can someone just tell me if I'll be okay?" she whispered. The attendant sighed and finally answered. "Yes, ma'am. It's non-stop. Now go find your seat. You'll live." Something about the tones so cold, so dismissive, made August's hands clench. He didn't say anything. Not yet. He just followed the woman onto the plane, heart pounding, mind racing. Row 22, middle seat. He crammed himself in, knees brushing the seat in front of him. The same attendant strolled down the aisle, joking loudly with another crew member. The nervous woman was across from him, near the window, still rattled and wiping her eyes. August watched everything. Flight attendants chatting in the galley. Passengers pressing call buttons and getting ignored. An older man trying to ask for water and being told, "Wait until after takeoff." And that same attendant, his name tag said Corey, laughing with a coworker about coach class crybabies. It wasn't just one bad moment. It was a pattern. The flight was 4 hours. By the end, August wasn't angry. He was stunned. This wasn't his company.
It couldn't be.
When the plane landed and passengers began grabbing their bags, August glanced at the woman across the aisle. She looked exhausted, but she gave him a small, embarrassed smile. He nodded back. Then he watched Corey breeze past, still joking with another crew member, still acting like the people around him didn't matter. August didn't sleep that night. He opened his laptop in the hotel and pulled up the employee schedules. Corey was based out of the Las Vegas hub. So was the rest of that crew. He checked the calendar. He could be in Vegas undercover by Monday. He made the call the next morning. "I'll be starting training at the Vegas hub Monday. Set it up under the name Aaron Owens. I want full onboarding. Uniform, ID, everything. No special treatment. No one can know." His assistant paused. Are you sure? That's a frontline role. You'll be, I'm sure, August said. I'm going in. 18 locations. 18 crews. But this one was about to get a very close look. The Monday sun hit hard in Las Vegas. August stepped into the employee entrance of the airline's regional hub wearing a wrinkled blue uniform, an ID clipped to his chest that read Aaron Owens, and steel-toed shoes that pinched his feet. The training coordinator barely looked up from her clipboard before handing him a packet and motioning toward a cluster of new hires sitting on metal benches. Ground ops and customer service. You'll rotate both all week. Hope you like sun and complaints. He took a seat near the edge, next to a young man in his early 20s with calloused hands and a tight jaw. The others introduced themselves casually, but the mood was subdued. No one was here for the glamour. They were here to survive. The first day was a blur of safety videos, baggage handling procedures, and radio codes. No one recognized him. By midweek, he was assigned to gate operations, a position that put him directly in the path of customers, crew, and the boarding process. That's when the patterns began to reveal themselves. His first shift paired him with a gate lead named Melissa. Her voice was clipped, movements efficient, and she kept one eye on the monitor and the other on the clock. She ran the gate like she was defusing a bomb, no wasted motion, no second chances. You don't ask passengers how their day is going, she said, tapping keys furiously. You keep the line moving. You scan, you nod, you redirect. August nodded, trying to keep up. An elderly woman approached the counter, her boarding pass quivering in her hand. Excuse me, I just wanted to confirm this gate is for Flight 492 to Portland? Melissa didn't even glance up. It's on the screen, ma'am. I can't read the screen very well. That's not something I can fix. August stepped forward. I can double-check for her. Melissa threw him a look. You're not here to play concierge. You want to help her. Do it after we board the other 180. The woman stepped back, eyes dimming. Later that hour, a man in a military uniform approached, asking if there was any chance of upgrading to an aisle seat because of a recent surgery. Melissa clicked through the system, then shut the window. Nothing available. But there's open seating in the exit row. Those are premium. Unless you're paying, they're not options. He nodded, defeated. August watched him limp away. August approached Melissa quietly. Is there a reason we can't use discretion on cases like that? She didn't look at him. This isn't a charity. You do that for one, you do it for all. Then you're the chump who broke policy. That night, he stayed late. He wandered into the break room after hours, where the cleaning staff had already started wiping down tables. A vending machine buzzed in the corner. He sat, scribbling notes on a napkin. A voice broke his focus. You're the new guy, right? Aaron? He looked up. A woman with a high ponytail and a stained lanyard leaned against the doorway. Her name tag read Lena. She was off duty, still in uniform, sipping from a cup of coffee that had clearly gone cold. Yeah, he said. Just trying to keep up. You'll learn, she said, stepping in. Fastest way to survive here is to stop caring. He raised an eyebrow. That's a little bleak. You think I like telling families they can't sit together because our system double-booked their seats? Or watching crew members clock in late every day and still get the good routes while I'm stuck on the tarmac in 100-degree heat? She sat across from him, voice low now. This place didn't start bad. It just wore down. August leaned forward. What do you mean? 5 years ago, we had supervisors who actually walked the floor.
Now?
They sit upstairs and send emails. You report real problems, broken equipment, someone getting harassed, they either ignore it or tell you it's under review. We had a guy yelling at a deaf passenger last month because she didn't respond fast enough at security. Nothing happened to him. Know what they told me when I filed a complaint? Try not to escalate next time. He stared at her. And no one's held accountable? Only the ones who care. They're the first to burn out. He didn't sleep that night. Again. By Thursday, he was moved to onboard service prep to shadow the flight crew. That's when he saw Corey again. Same slicked hair. Same empty grin. He was lounging against the beverage cart during pre-flight checks, scrolling through his phone while two junior flight attendants scrambled to finish setup. "Hey, Owens," Corey called. "You're the new temp, right? Go grab the trash bags from storage. And make it quick, we got a full flight." August didn't say anything. He just moved. The flight to Phoenix was routine until a child began crying midair. The mother, visibly distressed, tried to quiet her daughter, who had an apparent sensory condition. She whispered apologies to the people around her. Corey walked by, paused, and said loudly, "Maybe next time leave the banshee at home." August froze. The mother's face collapsed. She turned away, rocking her daughter. The other flight attendants said nothing. No one looked at Corey. When they landed, August stepped off the jet bridge without a word. He went straight to the base manager's office and asked to speak with the supervisor responsible for crew conduct. A woman in a pressed blouse and a badge reading K. Harland greeted him with a skeptical expression. "I just need 2 minutes," August said. "It's about passenger treatment."
"I'm listening." He recounted what he saw.
Every detail.
No embellishment.
By the end, her arms were crossed, jaw tight. "That cruise had complaints before," she said. "But HR needs written statements from other staff." "Without those, are you serious?" he asked. "A crew member humiliated a mother mid-flight in front of dozens of witnesses, and you're telling me you need paperwork before you can act?" She didn't answer. That night, August made a decision. Friday morning, he arrived before sunrise, changed into his real uniform, a tailored navy suit, polished shoes, and the executive badge clipped to his coat pocket. He walked into the staff briefing unannounced. Lena was there. So were Melissa and Corey. A few heads turned. He stepped to the front and spoke clearly. "My name is August O'Connell. I'm the owner and CEO of this airline. For the last 5 days, I've been working alongside you under the name Aaron Owens." Silence. Corey's face drained of color. Melissa's posture stiffened. Lena blinked, stunned. "I've seen how some of you work under pressure," August continued. "And I've seen how some of you treat our customers and your own coworkers. What I witnessed this week is not a reflection of the company my father built or the one I intend to lead." He turned to Corey. "You're being terminated immediately. Your conduct on multiple flights has directly harmed passengers and violated core conduct policies. There's no appeal." Corey opened his mouth, but August raised a hand. "Save it." He turned to Melissa. "You've been efficient, yes. But you've also created a culture where empathy is a liability. That ends now. Effective today, you are being reassigned to a back-office operations role. No customer-facing responsibilities until further notice." Then he looked at Lena. "You spoke up when it mattered. You maintained your integrity when others didn't. I want you on the new employee advisory board. We're rebuilding accountability, and I want you at the table." She stared at him, speechless. "And to the rest of you, we're conducting a full review of hub operations. Every gate, every route, every supervisor. Not to punish, to fix. If you've been waiting for someone to notice, this is me noticing." No one clapped. No one moved. But something shifted in the room. Afterward, Lena caught up with him outside the terminal. "You really didn't know it all, did you?" "No," he said. "But I do now." August stepped into the Las Vegas headquarters conference room just after sunrise. The blinds were still drawn, and the stale scent of burnt coffee hung in the air. The walls were lined with expired Employee of the Month posters and faded maps of domestic flight paths. A handful of regional managers sat stiffly around the long table, unsure whether to look at him or at the thick folder in front of each of them. He didn't sit. Instead, he walked to the whiteboard, uncapped a marker, and wrote 2 numbers in large block letters. 87%, he said. That's how many customer complaints from this hub in the past 6 months were related to employee behavior. He underlined it twice. 6%, he added. That's how many of those complaints were followed up on by management. A hushed breath passed through the room. No one moved. Now, I've already taken action where it was necessary. But this goes deeper than 1 or 2 people. This is systemic. He turned to face them. Starting immediately, we're restructuring oversight. Every manager in this room will be responsible for weekly floor presence. Not reports. Not summaries.
Actual observation.
A man near the end of the table leaned back, arms crossed. With all due respect, Mr. O'Connell, we're already stretched thin. You want us to micromanage the crew now? August kept his voice even. I want you to manage. If that feels unfamiliar, it's because too many of you stopped doing it. He didn't wait for a response. We're also rotating ground staff to prevent burnout. No one's working 6 straight days in heat indexes over 100. And you're no longer allowed to assign back-to-back red-eye shifts without at least 10 hours of rest between. Another manager, a woman in a tan blazer, raised a hand slightly. Does that mean we'll be hiring more? Because with current staffing, we can't cut shifts. We're already shortlisting candidates. But until then, if I have to fly in temporary workers from other hubs, I will. He closed the marker cap gently. You'll each receive your individual performance audits by end of day. Some of you will remain in your positions. Some won't. No one said a word. He left the room without waiting for questions. Outside, Lena was standing near the vending machines, her ID badge flipped backward. She looked like she hadn't slept. You're early, August said. I didn't want to be around the others in the break room. It's been tense. He nodded. Come with me. They walked through the corridor toward the operations floor. A new crew was prepping for departure to Sacramento. August watched silently as a junior agent struggled with a malfunctioning boarding pass scanner. The passenger line grew longer behind her, and an older male supervisor stood off to the side, arms folded, doing nothing. Can you handle this? August asked Lena. She stepped forward, took over the scanner, and redirected the line with calm instructions. The older agent didn't move. August approached him. What's your name? The man glanced at him. Frank. Frank, why didn't you step in? She's new. Figured it was a learning opportunity. She was clearly overwhelmed. Frank shrugged. Gotta toughen up sometime. August stepped closer. You're done here. Frank blinked. Excuse me? You're being relieved of supervisory duties, effective immediately. Turning your badge to HR by the end of your shift. Frank opened his mouth, but August didn't wait to hear it. As they walked toward another gate, Lena stayed quiet until they were out of earshot. You're making a lot of changes for 1 week. He looked at her. I'm 5 years late. They turned a corner and entered a small training room where a group of new hires sat listening to a safety instructor. August stood near the doorway, watching. One of the trainees, a woman with a prosthetic arm, raised her hand and asked how to handle baggage weight discrepancies when passengers had disabilities or mobility issues. The instructor, a man in his 30s with a clipped voice and sharp gestures, responded flatly. You treat everyone the same. If they can't lift the bag, they shouldn't bring it. August frowned. After the session ended, he asked Lena to follow him to the HR office. There, he requested the instructor's personnel file and saw a pattern. 3 past complaints, 2 from staff, 1 from a passenger, all dismissed by a former manager who had since been promoted. He turned to the HR rep, suspend him pending investigation, and flagged the manager, who ignored those reports. I want a full review of their history. The rep nodded without hesitation. Later that afternoon, August sat in the observation booth overlooking baggage handling. Below, workers hauled carts under the blazing sun, loading crates and personal luggage into the belly of a waiting aircraft. One of them, a short man with a limp, was clearly struggling to keep pace. Another worker, far younger, kept throwing bags haphazardly, ignoring weight distribution protocols. A container tipped. The older man shouted, but the younger one kept going. Earbuds in, music blaring. August pressed the intercom and called the shift lead. 2 minutes later, the lead arrived in the booth. "Did you see that?" August asked, pointing down. "I did." "Why hasn't it been addressed?" The lead hesitated. "He's the nephew of the outbound logistics manager. I've written him up twice. Nothing sticks." "Not anymore," August said. "He's done. Pull him off the floor and document it fully. I'll speak to the logistics manager myself." That evening, August called a meeting with the central scheduling team. They sat in a tight upstairs office, walls covered in printed spreadsheets and dry erase boards. He didn't wait for pleasantries. "Your algorithms are pushing people past capacity," he said. "And the human overrides? Your team's not using them." The lead scheduler, a thin woman with reading glasses and a tired voice, pushed her notes forward. "We've tried flagging excessive shifts, but middle management keeps overriding us. We're told to fill gaps, not ask questions." "From now on," August said, "your team reports directly to regional HR when you see dangerous patterns." "I'll have that chain of command in writing by tomorrow." The woman blinked. "You're serious?" "I'm done watching people get ground down because no one upstream wants to take responsibility." He left the office to the sound of typing. That night, he walked the terminal alone. The concourse was quieter now, the last flights boarding, janitors wiping down plastic seats. Near gate C3, he noticed a young employee sitting on the floor beside a vending machine, her knees pulled up, eyes closed. He crouched beside her. "You all right?" She opened her eyes slowly, startled. "Yeah. Just got off a back-to-back." "I'm not supposed to nap out here, sorry." He nodded. "What's your name?" "Jasmine. I'm ground crew." "You always work back-to-backs?" She laughed faintly. "Only when someone else calls out." "Which is always." He stood and offered a hand. "Come with me." They walked to the main office. August asked the night manager to pull up Jasmine's schedule. It showed 6 consecutive double shifts, 2 of them during equipment malfunctions that delayed loading times by over an hour. He looked at the night manager. "Why is this happening?" The man looked surprised. "She's one of the few who doesn't complain. We figured she could handle it." "She's 19. The manager didn't respond. "You're going to reassign 2 of her next 4 shifts. And I want a full audit of crew fatigue patterns by end of week." After the manager left, Jasmine stood quietly near the door. "No one ever notices," she said. "Usually it's just keep pushing." He handed her a sealed envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "A scholarship application. I saw your file. You're part-time because you're trying to finish college. We offer tuition support, but no one told you." She stared at the envelope. "I'm not promising anything," he added, "but I want you to apply. Let us do right by you." She nodded once, then walked out without saying another word. August stood alone in the office for several minutes. The walls were lined with performance charts and old safety awards. He looked at the outdated posters, then pulled them down one by one. He wasn't interested in what they used to celebrate. That wasn't the company anymore. Not yet. By the following Monday, the Las Vegas hub looked almost the same from the outside. Same signage, same scuffed tiles, same clipped voices over the PA system. But inside, the current had shifted. Quietly, deliberately. August arrived just before the morning briefings began, not in disguise this time, but in a navy polo with the company logo and a clipboard in hand. He'd traded the suit for something more functional. Not symbolic, practical. The office staff had already seen the schedule change his role in overnight. Staggered breaks, new crew pairings, and alerts for excessive shift stacking. The reaction wasn't loud, but it didn't need to be. He stepped into the operations floor and headed straight for the break room. The vending machine hum was still there, but a laminated poster on the wall caught his eye. Exhaustion is not a badge of honor. Report unsafe scheduling. It had HR's direct contact printed in bold, black letters. He hadn't ordered that poster. Someone had taken initiative. He found Lena by the lockers, tying her hair back. She zipped up her fleece and looked toward him with a nod. "Morning," she said, voice steady. "You settle into the new advisory role?" "I'm figuring it out," she said. "Some folks are still nervous about speaking up, but they're watching." He glanced over her shoulder at the rotating shift board. "Keep listening. When people start trusting you, they'll tell you more than they'll ever tell a supervisor." She raised an eyebrow. "And what about when they stop trusting the CEO?" He paused, then nodded. "Then I'll know I've lost the company." He made his way out onto the tarmac observation deck, where several new hires were being walked through their first equipment rotation. A trainer named Ed, a tall man with silver hair and a back brace, was demonstrating how to realign weight distribution when a loader cart broke down mid-shift. Two of the younger workers leaned in attentively, one scribbling notes on a folded safety card. Ed waved him over when he noticed August. "Didn't expect to see you back here," he said. "I like to check the edges of the operation," August replied, watching the loader creak under a new container. "The center always gets the attention."
Ed nodded slowly.
"We had 2 carts down this weekend. Maintenance got 1 fixed. I talked to procurement about replacements. You shouldn't have to chase that down." "I don't mind. I just don't like pretending we can load a full flight with half the equipment." "Give me the specs and serials," August said. "I'll authorize replacements." Down at the gate, Melissa now worked quietly behind a desk reviewing flight logs. She hadn't said much since her reassignment. Her posture was smaller, her voice lower, but she was showing up on time and completing tasks without complaint. August approached with measured steps. "Any issues with the new role?" he asked. She looked up, surprised but not defensive.
"No.
"It's quieter here." He nodded. "I didn't move you here to punish you, Melissa. I moved you because I needed to see if you could operate without pressure turning into dismissal." She hesitated. "I didn't realize I'd gotten that cold." "You were efficient," he said. "But people aren't problems to be solved." She looked away. "I get that now. I still think about that woman who couldn't read the screen." "That moment stayed with her," August said. "It stayed with me too." He left her to her work and walked toward the crew lounge, where the new scheduling coordinator was pinning up next week's rotation. A few employees stood nearby, scanning the board, murmuring quietly. Jasmine was there too, in a fresh uniform shirt. Her eyes flicked across the posted shifts.
She didn't look exhausted.
Not rested, but not depleted. He approached her. "You got your scholarship, Foreman?" She nodded. "I sent it Sunday. I'm finishing the first-year credits online." "Good," he said. "Let me know if they make the process harder than it needs to be." She gave a small laugh. "They already did. But I have it handled." He smiled. "You'll be on a lighter shift load starting next week. We're hiring 2 more part-timers to offset the overnight gaps." "Does that mean we're finally not cutting corners?" "It means we're building something sustainable," he said. "That takes longer than tearing it down." A few feet away, a new hire named Caleb, who'd only been on the floor 3 days, called out to one of the team leads. "Hey, this tag says Priority Medical. Do I need to process this differently?" The lead walked over, took one look, and nodded.
"Yeah.
That goes on last, comes off first. We'll flag it to the gate." August watched carefully. The exchange was clean, professional, and respectful. Nothing rushed, nothing shrugged off. He walked past the crew room and headed toward the HR office. The door was open, and the regional HR manager, a woman named Sora, stood reviewing a stack of incident reports. "You'll want to see this," she said when she noticed him. She handed him a report filed that morning. A gate agent had flagged a supervisor for verbally berating a cleaner in front of passengers after a tray cart was left unemptied. The supervisor's justification: "We're not here to babysit the janitorial staff." August read it twice, then looked up. Is the cleaner okay? She finished her shift. Didn't want to file anything herself. Doesn't matter. That's enough. He walked straight to the supervisor's office. The man stood behind his desk, rearranging a stack of security clearances. You're Robert? August asked. Yes, sir. I read your conduct report. Robert blinked. It wasn't personal. She left the cart full. It's a safety risk. And you addressed it by shouting at her in front of passengers? She's not even part of my team. You're done here, August said. What? Clear your desk. Your badge will be deactivated by noon. Robert stepped forward, defensive. You're going to fire me over one conversation? I'm removing you because you demonstrated exactly the kind of behavior that created this mess. We don't fix culture by excusing it one incident at a time. August left without waiting for reply. That afternoon, he gathered the full operations staff in the secondary hangar, over 60 employees, from baggage handlers to gate agents to overnight janitors. The space was hot, echoing with the low rumble of parked generators and distant arrivals. He stood on a plastic crate and spoke without a microphone. I want to say something clearly, so no one walks out of here guessing where we stand, he said. This company is not going to be saved by policies or slogans. It'll be saved by you. By how you show up for one another, by how you treat the people who walk onto our aircraft hoping to arrive safely and with dignity. He let the silence settle. I didn't come here to fix a broken system. I came to replace it, and I can't do that without you. He looked across the crowd. Some stared. Some nodded. No one spoke. We'll train better. We'll schedule smarter. We'll fire faster when people cross lines. But if we're going to earn back our reputation, it won't come from the top. It'll come from the ground up. He stepped down, walked through the crowd, and didn't stop as people peeled away to return to their posts. Later that week, he flew back to Chicago, not in disguise, not in first class. Middle seat, row 31. The flight crew greeted every passenger with eye contact. The gate agent offered a seat change to a woman traveling with a cane, and a flight attendant helped a nervous teenager find her seat before takeoff without a trace of impatience. August leaned back as the engines roared to life. The airline still had a long way to go. But for the first time in a long time, it was moving in the right direction.